We are talking about your knee. Do you know
Which
why
one?
the bad one?
Which one?
So we understand that in episode 179 with Izzy, you talked about your trip to Medellín, Colombia.
Medellín.
Medellín.
Actually, if you're Colombian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Also, can you remind us what Buenos Dias means?
Buenos dias.
Does it not
that's
mean
good morning,
give me all
isn't
your
it?
money?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I remember the story there. Yes. It doesn't mean.
For those
give
who
me all your
don't
money.
remember the episode, Ed was afraid for his life in actually a pretty fine part of town. And
Very
someone
nice part
said
of town.
this to him and he thought that he was going to get either mugged or murdered, neither of which was true at all. It was just another local person welcoming him to the community.
Yeah, just wishing me good morning. And I thought she wanted all my money. Take it.
Speaking of taking money, I mean, this is something that people consider and they have their own opinions about it. And I would say to a certain extent is controversial. At this point for you, it's history. It's something that you're currently living with now, but it's something that you've been living with for the last 9 months. I would even say before that, because you've been preparing for this with research. I remember you saying maybe a year or even longer than that, you've been considering and researching and looking for places to get the stem cell treatment for your knee. So
Yeah.
we are, 9 months out now?
9 months post-treatment.
Okay. And we want to talk about this because you have continually been getting questions from social media and elsewhere about how your knee is doing. So I guess the first thing that we can talk about is actually not that. I don't know. I just want to talk about like how things are going right now. So like that all thing aside, like how are you doing? How's your day going? How's life going? Everything and anything. Okay. I'm interviewing you. That's my job today. So just tell me what's up.
Life's really good at the moment.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah. I am, what's it now? We're March. So I'm about a month, almost April.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. So I'm about a month and a half into married life.
Hey-o.
I'm loving that. Nothing, and people say like, that's the first question people ask you about, right? You're married, like, how's life? How's married life? But I actually always do respond with, it's really good. I'm loving it. But obviously nothing's actually changed. Like day-to-day life hasn't changed.
What do you say it's akin to like saying it's like, it's my birthday, now you're a year older, but then nothing's really different at all?
Yeah, but I guess there is like, I feel like our relationship with my wife, with my now wife, has just leveled up. And I don't know, when you feel progression in an intimate relationship, I don't know, that just seems to have a ripple effect.
It is
into
literally a
life.
new level. I mean,
It is.
Do you, I remember doing this when I first got married over 10 years ago. I would often find a way to just introduce my wife as, this is my wife.
Yeah.
And I'd just
It's
geek
still
out
weird.
on that. It's not so much weird. It's just like, I'm so giddy about introducing people that this person accepted me
Yeah.
as her husband. That's fucking weird.
That's a very sweet way to say it. But I do think it's actually weird. Like, just because in 6 months I've gone from my girlfriend to my fiance to my wife.
That's true.
And there's a little stopping moment each time where it's like, oh, my wife. You haven't think about what is the label that I'm supposed to refer to this person now.
Like how does society deem this relationship?
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe it's my own perception, but it's like, I feel like when I say wife, it just carries a very different weight to fiance, which carries a very different weight to girlfriend or partner.
Does it make you feel, because of the direction it's going and, at this stage in your life, does it make you feel more mature?
Yeah, I think definitely. Yeah, I think I've always seen that as, it's like it's a progression in life. I'm not to say that, no, I think progression is the wrong word, but it's something I just always associated with older people.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time in my own emotional journey to get to the point where I was ready to marry.
Right.
And there was, many points, even my early 30s, where I genuinely thought I would never get married.
I mean, I'm sure, this is just me assuming, that you didn't like the idea of having a wife and being someone's husband because it seemed like maybe the end of a certain part of your abilities to live in a certain way.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a big contributing factor. I think a lot of it as well was I was just going through a phase where I just wasn't sure that marriage was the thing to do. I was looking at things like divorce rates. I was listening to podcasts on like monogamy versus polyamory.
Yeah.
I was doing research on like our tribal ancestors and how men behaved in the tribe, and when did like marrying actually become a thing?
Yeah.
In our society,
And
a
like
lot
this
of it was,
social construct.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. And then maybe just question like, is this actually what we're supposed to be doing?
Right.
And I guess like I was doing that research because I was feeling in my past relationships this like lack of wanting to settle. There was a grass is greener mentality. And I've done a lot of like connecting the dots as to why I thought this way.
Yeah.
And a lot of it makes sense now from like, early years of life. But I think, the way to summarize the story and keep it short is that I just got to a place in life where it was a thing to do, and it just felt totally right.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely what I wanted to do. Like zero hesitation, no fear, just nothing but good vibes and excitement, and ready to take that next step. So yes, to answer your question, Chris, married life is great, and I'm definitely I'm riding that high of enjoying married life at the moment.
Cool. That's cool.
So that's great. Everything's great at home. Business wise, I think it's been a really strong start to 2024. I've been doing, there's been a lot of like small changes here. I've done a lot of investing in kind of my own professional development. I think I hadn't gone through a period of I think a lot of my last like 6-7 years have been so much around personal development and personal growth.
Right.
And I kind of got to a point where I wanted to, it's not that I'd read all the books and I don't need to learn more. That process is now forever ongoing. I've got a fantastic set of tools that I can use on a daily basis to ensure that I'm continuing to grow in that way. But I hadn't really like sunk my teeth into something. So I'll probably say the two big learnings for me this year are golf and professional development. Okay. And the professional side is like, I've really wanted to, level myself up as a business owner and as a manager. So been doing lots of reading, lots of learning on all different platforms and how I can better myself there. And I've, a lot of the things I've learned, I've been putting into practice, and I can see, the fruits of the labor starting to show now, starting to come to fruition, which is really cool. Nice. So I'm feeling progression in that sense. So yeah, I just feel like 2024 right now is a lot of things professionally that are coming together for us.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I feel a lot more like at ease. I kind of said it to you guys as a team. We've changed some processes that we've done in terms of like, how we meet the people within our team and the frequency of meetings and how we're running our meetings and the agendas, etc. Just feeling a lot less anxious. I just feel a lot more calm. My workload is still by choice high.
Yeah, and we are growing too.
Yeah, but it's a different feeling that's associated with that work. I feel very much in control. I feel very much at peace. I'm loving everything that I'm doing. Yeah, I'm loving the growth that we're starting to see.
I bet when you're looking at like the more work that you're getting and the things that you're choosing to do, you're not just thinking of like what can we do that I'm going to now take on. It's more like what can we do and who can I trust to help lead that.
Yeah, and where do I need to be? Where do I need to be putting my time and energy into? Yeah. And I kind of do that kind of like almost like a stock check every 3 months, where I'm like, well, what am I currently doing that doesn't need to be done by me, and who else is there someone within our team who can take that on, or do we need to bring someone in to do that?
Yeah, it's like your own personal quarterly check-in.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think professionally has been great. Then I would probably say like from a health perspective, that's probably where it hasn't been so hot.
I mean, we're going to get into that. It's going to be the focus of today's conversation.
Yeah, that's probably not been so great. I think I had. Okay, so what actually happened was I came back from a trip in the Philippines where we were running a basically spent 4 really intense days with our affiliates over there. Full day agendas, bonding, educating.
You went to affiliates and then the Cebu Throwdown.
Then we went to Cebu Throwdown where I was programming the workouts for that, and then we went straight from there back to Hong Kong, ran the athlete camp. So it was basically like, and just before that, I'd been in Dubai and Bangkok with work trips as well, plus like a challenging end to 2023. That's where I really started, because we had to change up some things with management and the business, and that involved a lot of like mental resources for me to upskill myself and problem solve. Anyway, I think just cumulatively all of that basically my body was just not feeling great. So I just felt lethargic, I felt tired. I got sick like 3 times in January, and I'd probably get a cold like once a year.
I remember you've said that before in the past.
Yeah, I would say once a year max, even like pre-pandemic days, once a year max. And I got 3 different types of like respiratory cold infections within like not even 3 months.
There was a stretch where like by default you sounded congested and were coughing.
Yeah, and that coughing. I mean, I've still got dregs of it now, and that's been almost 5 weeks. That's crazy. I've never had a cough is normally a week max for me.
Yeah.
So this thing, and I know there's a lot of other people who've been having this same strand of whatever it is. So that's one thing. You know, that's just, to me, that's just a clear sign.
Sure.
So the body's not quite right. You know, what it's normally able to fend off and fight, for whatever reason right now it's not. And so then I start questioning immediately, okay, like what am I doing right now? What am I not doing? And then, you know, around the same time coming back from this athlete camp, my left knee, which is
let's clarify which is the good knee and which is the bad knee.
So I'm not sure which one's called bad knee these days.
Yeah.
But the stem cell knee. The stem cell knee is my right knee, and that's been the one I've had, you know, 3 operations on. You know, a lot of like chronic issues.
That's historically
really a long time. Yeah, exactly. But the left knee, which has never let me down in the past, this has been like my saving grace when my left one's been when my right one's been not so good. I got back from Philippines and it was just, I just tried. Well, you were here actually. I tried to do it. We were snatching one day.
There was a few moments. I remember snatching one day
and trying to jump. Yeah,
where you were trying to do depth jumps, where we would go off a stack of 20 kg plates, maybe 3
it was
or
like
4.
I think it was 120 kg plate. It was like the very first warm up.
And it was just bound off and see how high you can get. And we were trying to get some hops because we were just kind of hooting and hollering as we usually do in a team training session. And there you go. And you get maybe a credit card.
I landed, I couldn't get off the ground. And I think that same session, this is really stupid. I think that same session, we were snatching after that. And I was like, just going to grit my teeth.
Yeah.
I think I built up to like a 80 or 85 kg snatch. And once adrenaline was going, knee felt good. But in my head, I was like, okay, I can't get my feet a millimeter off the floor without weight. Probably shouldn't be throwing 80 kilograms over my head, right? Anyway, I did it. Pretty good snatch day in the end. Next day I woke up and I'm like, ooh, okay, really feeling not just the left knee right now, but both knees. And then we had a conditioning session on the LPC, which was box jumps, toes to bar, and rowing. And I remember warming up a box jump, and like it was not like jumping onto a 20-inch box was hard. I was like, okay, that doesn't feel good. But then kind of just told myself, suck it up, grit your teeth a little bit. The Open's coming up. You can have a rest day tomorrow and maybe rest for the rest of the week. Let's just get through this session, because it looked like a really fun workout and I was just in the zone. So obviously,
and also let's get a bit of a timeline here, if it matters or not. How far from the Open was this moment?
So we're probably like 5 weeks before the Open.
Okay, and then to what extent was that in the back of your mind of getting ready?
Definitely in the back of my mind. And the reason for that is that because I had so much work in January, when everyone else was starting their Open prep intensification, I wasn't doing it. I was like training 3, maybe 4 times a week, just squeezing sessions in whenever I could between work meetings and travel. And like sleep was crap, so I just didn't have energy available. So because of that, that was consciously in the back of my mind. I'd also, before that, I hadn't been doing any hard training because I've been rehabbing my knee post stem cells. Right. So
I would say pretty religiously is what I was.
Yeah. So I'd say 6 months of like, I took it really easy. You know, I was doing very little metabolic conditioning, a lot of structural strength work, Both knees were like feeling like strong. But then I think that mindset of, okay, Open's coming, I need to start preparing my body for it. I just went a little bit too hard. I basically had a really fatigued body already.
Right.
And then I added, I think within the same week, because before that, I've been splitting my training into upper and lower body days. So I do a lower body day, an upper body day, an easy conditioning day, then a rest day. So my knee was getting 3 full days of recovery before it'd have to work again. And I basically, you know, in February went straight into lower body every day. So I basically combined upper and lower body sessions, because I was like, I need to start to familiarize my body again with having to do multiple days of knee flexion. But it was just too much too soon.
I mean, the one takeaway that's really interesting here is like, you know, you've been in professional coaching for this long.
Still fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. Where like it doesn't really, to an extent, doesn't matter if you're new to coaching, new to training, or if you have all this experience. Everyone is fighting against whatever you want to call it, your ego, your anxieties, your own short-term and long-term goals. And you have to continuously make a decision, sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes really hard to say until after the fact, when you see the consequences of these things that bear the consequences in times like now, right?
And I think that's kind of, one of the beautiful things about competitions is that, you set a target, you set a timeline, and you prepare quite intensely for this thing. You do the thing and then you kind of relax and you reset. And I think that intense focus is what really attracts me to competing and doing hard things like high roxers and CrossFit Opens and competitions. It's what attracts me to working with people who are in that space as well. But the likelihood of making the wrong call tends to increase when you have that laser focus on something.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have that pressure. You've said to yourself, I want to do this thing. No one wants to be a quitter. No one wants to stop and not do it. And for me, the reasons I want to do things like the Open go beyond just me now. It's a community thing. I get to do it with my friends,
100%.
The guys and girls I hang out with every day. It's just always one of the greatest memories. So part of it, I've created this pressure on myself to not want to let those guys down, even though they didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like they just want me to be healthy. But I'm telling the story I'm telling myself in my head is that I got to do this for the community. I want to do it for the community. So yeah, you end up taking risks that when I look back in the last 6 months post stem cells, I never took those risks. I always, what I was doing post stem cell training was come into gym.
Right.
I'd have a plan, but I'd warm up and really listen to my body. And if I felt that my knee was not, good and pain free and moving well, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to push the squat session back to Friday.
Okay,
I'm not going to force it.
To kind of make sure we're kind of clear on this too, since we're talking about this as an update at this 9-month mark, could you kind of just trace us back to, so when we talked with Izzy back in July, you just came from Colombia. So what did the extent of your immediate recovery and then getting into kind of the swing of things with long-term recovery and training and taking care of yourself, what did that look like for the last, I guess, up until you started pushing for the Open?
Yeah, good. That is what we're here to talk about. I think, so, the funny thing with stem cells is that when you, and I think why I've had so much interest in people asking about my stem cell journey is that the things you read or watch on YouTube or Instagram or social media about stem cells, it's like this magical thing. You get injected with stem cells and you're walking out of the clinic and you have this rejuvenated body and you can use the joint or whatever you had treated in a way that you couldn't do 10 minutes before the injection.
It's basically akin to a miracle.
Right. And that part, I actually kind of thought that was how it was going to go down.
Even with the research.
So, basically when I got there, I won't retell the story because I've told it already in the last podcast, but the like 3 days post injections, like extremely sore, most pain I've ever been in on my knee.
Right.
And then essentially what it felt like for the next 3 months, it felt like my knee felt when I had my ACL operation in 2009. It felt like
was there an immediate like, oh shit, this didn't work, this did the opposite? Was there anything of that?
For sure. And I think so it felt like I'd lost a lot of range of motion. My knee felt really tight and it was painful when I'd bend even to like close to 90 degrees. I mean, I can normally squat 95 degrees on a good day, but like 90 degrees, but like I'd say about 80 degrees, it would get painful. And even extensions, so like just straightening my leg was pretty painful. So that kind of caught me by surprise. And I think the thing with stem cells is that everyone is different.
Sure.
People respond in very, very different ways. And it's not necessarily, because you were strong coming into it, your recovery process is going to be fast coming out of it. Like there's just the more research I've done is so variable. What I will say is that, I was checking every single box. I was like, I'm looking after my nutrition. I'm sleeping as much as I can. I'm hydrating. Okay,
so there's a little bit of a longer term recovery protocol they give you?
The holistic side of things is something that bioxcellerator, which is a company I had it done with, are very big on.
Okay.
They had me on a caffeine fast 30 days before.
Right.
They really wanted me to go into like a super clean, they actually recommended a plant-based diet, which I didn't do.
Basically optimize the entire body.
Optimize the whole body. Because if you want to get the most results out of this, you can't, you got to think about all that stuff.
Yeah, so you cover that in that episode, but you're saying they even had that post-treatment.
Even post-treatment. So I basically, I was like hyper hyper focus on being as healthy as I possibly could.
Sure.
Just allow the stem cells to work, to work as effective as they possibly could.
Absolutely.
But I would say, 3 months post was quite, I would say that my knee went backwards 20%. So even after 3 months, I would still say like I was a long way off where I was the day before I went in to get my injections done. And I think, because I'm overseas, I don't have a team to access and talk to. I'm not there with the doctors every day. bioxcellerator are really good in the sense that you get a 1 month checkup, a 3 month checkup, a 6 month checkup, and I think you get 1 year checkup. But of course, they're there to answer your questions should you need them at all before. So, I just kind of go back and ask them quite frequently. I'm like, hey, I'm experiencing this. Is that normal? Like, is it okay that I'm still in pain? Like, or should I be back to where I was? And they would always reassure me and say, no, where you're at right now, like you're on the right track.
I see.
Be patient. They say that with mesenchymal stem cells and what I had done, the regeneration process is up to 1.5 years, right? So, I'm 3 months in, like be patient. People see massive improvements in their knees, 18 months post. So I just kept telling myself that in the back of my mind, which was, there are some days where I would question, I'd wake up and just have, not days, I'd have fleeting thoughts to be like, what have you done, Ed? You paid all this money and your knee is worse than it was. Like, it actually wasn't that bad. Maybe like this was a terrible idea, a terrible investment. And like, you hear horror stories of people who go and get very basic procedures done and it backfires and their body capitulates and rejects it. And
I'm sure if you Googled it or put it on YouTube, you can find hours of this
and I
deliberately don't
do that stuff because of what I know, how that would influence my psyche. But there's definitely fleeting thoughts of that. So every time I'd have those thoughts, I would just, in the same way that the way that I think about people is this concept of API, assume positive intent, right? Assume the best is going to happen. That's that mantra that I very much live my life by. And I just had to remind myself to do the same with my knee. Like think positively. You have no option but to trust this was the right thing to do.
Is this a thing that happens in the moment, or do you have did you have like a set time in the day of meditation or breath work?
I think yes, yeah. I mean, typically it'd be times where I was a bit more quiet, and maybe I was meditating or I was giving myself a break. Those are when those thoughts come in, like shower time, right? Shower time first thing in the morning is typically where our brain kind of goes crazy and it does like a quick checklist of all the things that are in your mind. So that's always the time, and I always just remind myself that, listen, like, you've got to trust this is going to work. Sure. Stay positive, just control the controllables, right? So as soon as you start thinking about why is my knee hurting? Why can't I do the things I want to do? Is this taking longer? Those are things that are ultimately outside my control. I'm just going to bring my focus and energy into things I can. So can I improve my eating? Can I improve my hydration? Can I sleep more? Can I manage stress better? Can I warm up more? Can I stretch more? Can I get physiotherapy? Can I strength train in a different way? And just bring it back to controllables and really just be super focused on that and just doing everything I could.
Also, one thing that helps for me it may help. Well, actually it does. What I do is if I have a conversation with someone about it, just being able to articulate it really helps clarify what it is that I'm thinking. And then you get the external person who's completely neutral to it and still cares about you to let you know, like, here's what I'm seeing or here's what we can do together. Here's how I can help you, talking about just getting married. Were you expressing a lot of this to Cami? Like, yeah.
Me and myself and my wife, we literally can talk about anything, and we do talk about anything and everything. So that's amazing. But also journal as well. So I had that second opportunity to thought dump. But I always just ask myself the question, like, if this was my friend saying this to me, what would I say to them?
Okay.
That's something that we just spoke about. That's with Dr. Kylie Chen the other week. I think that a lot now. And that helps me rationalize my thoughts a bit more.
That inner critic.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm definitely like having those thoughts, but again, just remind myself, okay, you just got to trust that this is going to be good. But obviously when people are asking you all the time, right? I still get asked, every week, maybe even more than that. Mainly in person, but also on things on social media, like, oh, how's the knee? How's the stem cells going? And you kind of like,
how is it
going?
I
want to give an answer to say like, it's awesome, it's doing really well, but I'm going to be honest. Like, if someone asks me how I'm doing, I'm not having a good day, I'm going to be honest with them.
Right.
I'm like, it's not bad. It's not bad. I kind of give it as a percentage. I say like, it's about 85% of where it was last time. And then it would creep up 90% of where it was last time. And then, eventually I would say, so, just to kind of go back to this, like the 1 to 6 month period, which is kind of like when we haven't talked about my knee on the podcast.
Yeah.
It was, I basically just treated it from a very day-to-day basis, because I have good days and I had bad days, which is very normal, right? You know, crappy night's sleep, or maybe suboptimal diet or lack of hydration, body's a bit more inflamed, everything's a bit tighter, everything's a bit more painful. And I would just self-regulate my training really aggressively. So I wouldn't push through pain like I did when I started preparing for the Open.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't do silly things that I thought might be 50-50 in terms of if this is a good thing.
Like when in doubt,
just always play on the safe side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that means not squatting this week. All good. I'm just not going to squat this week. So I'd say when I got to about the 7 to 8 month mark, but I'd say about 6 to 7 month, I started to feel like my knee, around January time, my knee was actually better than it was pre-stem cells.
You know, one moment in January where I thought, like, oh shit, like that might be back and then some. In the Cebu Throwdown, there was the hotel gym. You, Ant, and I were trying to, like, I was trying, but you guys were definitely training, and I was like,
You also tried to max out your back squat.
I was trying to max out my front squat, and then I was like at 85%, and I couldn't stand it up.
And then I think you triggered pneumonia that day.
Yeah, that's where I got super sick. You know, talking about that. But then I remember you were showing me how to do hack squats on the Smith.
This is really funny because continue your story, but I'll tell you my.
Yeah, and then for me, it's like I don't know shit about the Smith machine, and I don't really like the guide of a Smith machine. So trying to do hack squats in there, it just felt silly. And then you kind of guided me through it. But seeing you do it, you went more depth than I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought
so I always try and connect the dots, right?
Okay.
I always think like things don't happen for no reason.
Okay.
So, I've been trying to connect the dots on why my knee ended up and why my left knee, my good knee, is now in pain and why that pain is not healing. And I actually bring myself back to that session.
No shit.
In Cebu. Because I think we'd done heavy deadlifts first.
Yes.
Right. And this is like it was a really nice hotel gym.
It was.
And I was like, whenever I see a piece of equipment I don't have access to at home, I always want to jump in it. So they had a Smith press 100%. And I was like, I'm going to do some hack squats. And I remember warming up the hack squat and I'm thinking like my left knee, like, oh, this doesn't feel great. My right knee felt good.
Right.
But my left knee was not feeling too hot when I was doing it. But I was like, fuck it. I think I loaded it. I think we built to like 100 and we were doing sets of quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember like, okay, I'm just going to warm up, grit my teeth a little bit, get through these slightly painful warm-up sets, and then I'll be fine. Ended up having a pretty good session.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was about... Yeah, it was about like the next, because we didn't train that whole weekend, remember? And then we were back at Subterra and I went to train on Monday in Subterra. Right. And my knee, that was the time where we had a power clean that day. And it was like build to heavy single on the compete program. And I was like warming up that power clean. I was thinking, oh, my left knee does not feel good.
And it felt the same kind of way from the hack squats?
No, this was like a new pain now. But I feel like that hack squat might have been a thing.
Open the door.
Yeah, that set off the knee pain.
Yeah. So
but sorry, in truth though, I'm just gonna this is about my right knee. This is about my stem cell knee, but I'm just talking about my left knee. When I was in the operating theater in bioxcellerator, which is not really an operating theater, you're just literally sat at a table and the guy's about to put an injection in you.
Yeah.
I said to the doctor, hey mate, have you got any spare stem cells for my left knee?
No, you didn't.
I did. And he said, I'm really sorry. He's like, you got to go through the whole MRI process. We got to scan everything.
I wonder how often people ask them.
Yeah.
Like, if you have any more, put it in my wrist.
But I remember asking that, which tells me that I already knew even then in June last year that my left knee wasn't quite right. Like there was something a little bit off with it there was like a low level pain that wasn't debilitating, but it was there. So, which tells me my body's been giving me signs about my left knee to slow the hell down or change something up for, probably 9-10 months now. Is
it like a situation where the right knee was screaming so much you couldn't listen? You couldn't hear the left knee like whispering?
I think my left knee, because I've had so many issues with my right knee for so long, right? So I've got I've got no ACL in there. I've got just about a PCL. I've got not much MCL left. There's no cartilage. Lateral meniscus tears. There's a lot of osteophytes, right? So a lot of bone growths in there to stop my knee bending. So that's why my knee looks a little funky on my right side. That's why my movement patterns are very asymmetrical.
Yeah.
But because of all that, and that's been there since 2010 is where I had like my massive trauma in my knee. Then my left knee, I don't move asymmetrically in many ways because of all the operations, right? So I think for a really long time, my left knee has basically taken the weight of what my right knee can't do.
Yeah, it's compensating.
So compensation. My squat. You look at my squatting pattern. Most people won't be able to see it, but I know that my left knee drives over my toe a lot more, and I have a slight rotation. So obviously, because that's been happening for so long, my body has kind of like adapted to it. But for sure, like there's been like I've had like on and off tendonitis issues in my left knee because I think because of that, and yeah, just like various other like not just doesn't feel right feelings in my left knee.
Looking back, if you were to do this again, would you have considered getting a consultation for the left knee in the same treatment as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to afford it though, because that's the thing, that financially it was such a big investment.
But also, could you even do that physically? Like, could you get it in both knees and still be
I wouldn't be able to do what I thought about this, but I wouldn't be able to do what I did. I would have to probably double my length of stay, get my right knee, because you really can't. I couldn't weight bear on my knee for about 3 days. Like, you're really like, they say that it's going to be really sore, but you just got to keep on moving.
Yeah.
So it's not, they don't give you crutches. They're like, you gotta walk on it, because you need to flush the fluid out, right? So I wouldn't have been able to. Like, I sometimes say, imagine I got both knees done. Oh my, like, I'd hate to think. I would hate, but slash love to see someone trying to operate life with 2 double stem cells treatments. So yeah, I don't know. I knew it was one or the other, and it's like which was worse. My right knee was a lot worse than my left, so it was definitely the right choice to get that one done.
Here's a weird question, because your stem cells are in there and like they're doing their thing, and my understanding of stem cells, limited understanding, is stem cells are kind of like a blank slate, and then they will adopt whatever the specified cell,
whatever needs to be regenerated,
right? Yeah. So if it's a cardiac cell, it'll start pumping and stuff. Because you have like these blank slate stem cells in your knee, do you ever like pay attention, like hyper focus on your knee and feel like what's going on in there?
No, but it's interesting because that's how it works, right? Yeah. That's why. So the stem cell I had done on my right knee it was a local injection. They're going right into the site, and they're using it with an ultrasound, right? So they're being very specific about exactly where they want to put it in. And because I had, got no cartilage or very little bit of cartilage left, so they wanted to put stem cells close to the cartilage site so that we could hopefully see some regrowth of cartilage. Yeah. My PCL was almost fully torn, so they wanted to inject in towards the PCL so that it could repair. There was quadricep tendonitis, so they wanted to get into the tendon, so they went directly into the tendon.
Oh, wait a minute. So if you're talking about like, let's say, what is it, PCL you don't have?
No ACL.
No ACL. So
hardly a PCL. Basically, skin keeps my knee together.
So if that's the case, and you're putting stem cells in there, can you help explain how the body knows, and the stem cells know that, okay, this is a missing gap, and we have to connect this part to this part?
So it can't. So if there is a full rupture, it can't repair it.
Okay,
so
it's not
can't
make
make 2 loose ends like jump back together and reattach. But if you got something that's a partial tear, then it can rebuild that partial tear. Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
So it's like if it's a broken bridge, it's not going to create a bridge. If it's a partial break of the bridge, it'll build around it to regenerate that connection.
Exactly. Gotcha. So things like my cartilage, reason there was a time pressure on me getting it now and not in 10 years is that I did have a little bit of cartilage left in my knee, but not much. So I had to get the stem cells in before the cartilage completely wore out, because once that cartilage is gone, the stem cells have nothing to partner with, and the cartilage is going to regrow. Yeah. And that's really what I wanted more than anything. Like, I think a lot of my pain and discomfort in my knee comes from the fact that I have minimal cartilage. There's a lot of bone on bone. So I'm hoping that one of the things that comes of this is that the cartilage regrows, creates more cushioning in the joint, and hopefully that will allow for, potentially increased range of motion.
Does this mean that at some point, or have you already gotten imaging done to see if there's been regeneration?
Yeah, I haven't had imaging redone yet. I'm probably going to wait to the 1.5 year mark, which is where they say, stem cells can continue to regenerate for.
So purposely you want to wait until that?
I'm going to wait. Yeah, I want to wait. Because I think if I see it and it's not where I want it to be, I just don't want, I want to just kind of want to keep my faith in the fact that this is something.
Keep assuming that it's working.
Yeah, for sure. And I've definitely seen like positive improvements. But so the interesting thing is what they do in bioxcellerator, which a lot of places don't do, right? So I've already talked about what makes the stem cells there unique, but just very quickly, it's the stem cell that's derived from a fresh umbilical cord. They have donors in Colombia.
Sorry, what do you call that?
Mesenchymal.
Mesenchymal.
Mesenchymal, which is a Wharton's jelly, which is extracted from the umbilical cord. Yeah. So they basically, the donor, which was, I had a young Colombian boy, I think was born.
You get stats?
I just know he's a Colombian boy.
Wait, sorry.
He was healthy.
Umbilical cord from the mother and this born boy.
Yep.
Got it.
And I know he's a healthy boy. That's all I know. From Medellín.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, they test those guys to make sure that they're healthy and they tick all the biomarkers they're looking for.
I see.
Once they've got the stems, the umbilical cord, they're then checking the efficacy of the stem cells in that to make sure that they're of a certain level. And then they're spinning up those stem cells and basically making them 1,000 times more potent.
And this is something that's exclusive to Colombia.
Exactly. Yeah. Not FDA approved in the US and Europe. So, we were just watching a video before, but stem cells everywhere else in the world, what they call stem cell light.
I'm trying to make myself sound smarter than I actually am.
No, but stem cell light, right? So what most places are doing, they're taking stem cells from your own fat tissues or your own bone marrow, pretty painful procedure. And then they're spinning those up and then putting them back into you. And they can't measure exactly how many stem cells there are in that process. It's a pretty long, drawn out process and a pretty painful process. So this is a lot more potent, a lot less intrusive.
Yeah.
They basically go through that whole procedure to make sure the efficacy is there. Now, when I had my stem cells, I had the local injections done into my knee, but I also had 2 rounds of intravenous. Oh. So I can't remember what the cap is, I think maybe 150 million, I think.
When you're saying intravenous, you're talking about it just goes through your circulatory system.
Yeah, so 150 million stem cells is the most I think you can get, maybe up to 200 or 250, but there's a cap on how many stem cells a human can have or what they recommend is safe.
Before what happens?
I don't know. You just turn into like the Hulk or something. No, I don't know. That would be cool. I don't know, but there is a limit by what they say how many you should have at once. So I was like quite high up on that limit. There was definitely still a bit more to go, but so the majority, I think, let's say for argument's sake, it's 200 million.
Okay.
150 was put into my knee, and then I think I had 40 to 50 million stem cells on intravenous. So they basically, you sit down in a medical chair, they walk in with your bag of stem cells. I think I still have my bag. It's empty now, obviously. But just like clear liquid. They hook it up and they plug you up on an IV.
Oh, is this the bag that they ask you to write something on there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. And they pump stem cells into your body. And because the way that stem cells work is that they're going to target inflammation. Okay. And they're going to work with the inflamed cells to regenerate the cells and tissues. So in my body, I was kind of hoping, that, okay, well, maybe these stem cells go to my left knee.
I see.
Fix that shit that's going on there. But I'm also like, well, then I've also got I've had 4 shoulder reconstructions. I've had a lot of things.
The vein is going a lot of places before it goes to the knee.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure where this is going to settle, but that's why they say, going into your stem cell treatment, like you got to take it easy. If you're going and doing a really hard gym session before stem cell treatment and you're creating all this information in your body, those stem cells are going to go
like
there
temporary,
rather than actually fixing long-term issues.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So basically I was like very cautious about doing that. Obviously it's not ideal when you have to travel. It was a 36-hour travel to get there. Like my body was definitely not in the healthiest state. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do. So I was kind of hoping that I would get benefits in the rest of my body, because they said a lot of people experience like just general improved levels of health and wellness when they get stem cell treatment done, because the stem cells are not just going after the site, but they're spreading around the body. I would genuinely say I didn't experience that. I actually felt worse. I would say like for probably 3 months after, my general level of health and wellness, like sleep quality, mental acuity, focus, general energy was just down. And I think maybe because of that, because the stem cells put into the knee is like, it basically creates a really inflammatory response, right? And then the body's healing from that inflammatory response, coupled with the stem cells, is where you get all this regeneration happen. But I think just the intenseness of that in my knee, my body had to fight really hard to repair and regenerate.
So you just kind of felt
I just felt not
almost?
right. Yeah. Just didn't feel like alive.
For how long?
Probably about 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't feel that like elevated like rejuvenation, like people when they get hormone replacement therapy or
Yeah.
testosterone feel
Yeah.
like it's like an anti-aging drug. They come out and they got a spring in their step, and
Yeah.
I felt the complete opposite to that.
And I'm sure that was stressful to experience.
Yeah, well, it's just, yeah, again, I guess it's all just feeding doubt,
Yeah.
right? It's like, I'm not sure if this is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, I think it's really important that I got to be clear on, you know, what my expectations coming into this actually were.
Yeah.
And like the context of the story was that, you know, as someone who I think is, I'm pretty knowledgeable in the field of strength and conditioning rehabilitation.
Right.
I'd really done, you know, and this isn't just my own bias, you know, working with the great physios here, they've confirmed the same thing, but really done everything within my power to get my knee to be as good as possible. And I got to a point where I wasn't able to increase range of motion anymore. And I wasn't really able to increase like strength of things like my quads on my right side. So I was kind of like, okay, I definitely managed to like slow down the aging process.
Okay.
So when I have, you know, when I had my MRI done on my knee, it was like, you have a very degenerative knee. That's every doctor I've seen over the last 10 years has said you're going to need a knee replacement at some point. And they're all saying like, you need to just try everything you can to get your knee as healthy as possible so you can push back that knee replacement as late as possible, because knee replacements aren't like hip replacements yet, where they're like, you know, you can't return to high level sport.
Yeah.
Like, and if you get one knee replacement right now, they typically deteriorate within 10 years and you need to get another one. If you get 2 knee replacements, like no one does that. Like you basically got a peg leg if you're getting 2 knee replacements. So my whole thinking for the last 10 years has been, okay, I'm going to ride that fine line between trying to get as much performance out of my knee so I can still, you know, play sports and do all the things that I love and do things like CrossFit, but also I need to get this knee as strong as I possibly can, so that it can last longer.
Yeah. So with all this in mind, and having that 1.5 year window of you can take up to this long for these stem cells to be at work. I got to ask, you're in the middle of that process, right? So why did you choose to do the open with all these things here, knowing that the open is like chock full of inflammation and just small and big injuries and all these different things that are going to be out of your control because you just have to perform up to the task that's being asked of you. So why?
Yeah. So good question. I had asked the doctors the same thing. I said,
Should I do this?
Yeah, I'd asked the doctors, you know, I said, hey, like, there's this thing in about 7 to 8 months time that I would like to do, but I don't have to do. You know, what do you guys think? And they were like, oh, you'd be totally fine. They're like, no worries, like, don't not live your life and do the cool things you want to do just because you've had stem cells. Yeah. Remember, stem cells are in your body now. They're not going anywhere. It's not like you can flush them out and you lose what you've done. Like, they're in there and they are working and interchanging with the current cells in your body. So what all we say is like, try not to get injured. Again, like don't pick up another injury or re-injure the knee, because then the stem cell is going to then get after this new injury, not the long-term thing we're trying to solve. So, you know, and with that said, my right knee right now feels great. Like it's definitely, I would say 105. I was hoping for like, even if I got 5% improvement on my knee, that was a win for me. And I would say, you know, I'm now in a place where I can do like a tempo pistol. It's not pain-free. I would say range of motion has probably improved by like a couple of degrees, but that's good. I'm happy with that. So my right knee is actually really solid.
So you're seeing a net improvement.
I've seen a net improvement now.
If you put a percentage to it, you said 5% was a goal. What is the percentage at this moment?
I'd probably say like 5 to 7%.
Pretty specific.
Yeah.
But also pretty good.
I'm going to say 5 to 7, because I think if I said 10%, that feels quite substantial. But it's not. I would say I can now say that I'm really happy with my investment, and I'm going to continue to, you know, I'm technically only halfway through the healing process. So if things can continue to trend positively, then this could end up being 15, 20% improvement. So, and you know, I've seen a lot. I think the thing that attracted me to bioxcellerator in the first place was that I'd seen case studies of people with very similar needs to myself. You know, like stage 3 degeneration, osteoarthritis, blah, 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 blah. And I'd seen like x-rays and MRIs 1 to 1.5 years post-treatment. and I'd seen really big improvements. Like, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool, because I've done all the research on what else, and there's nothing else out there.
Yeah. So with all this positive trending happening, going into the open and you're starting to feel pretty good about your right knee, maybe, and then your left knee starting to feel, what's going on there? For yourself, did you have a guideline of like, these are the things that I need to be doing, these things I shouldn't be doing, these are the signs that I need to stop what I'm doing? Like, did you have that conversation with yourself?
Yeah, but I think because I was so hyper focused on my right knee,
Yeah.
that I just ignored everything else a little bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, my upper body, like, touch wood, for somebody who's had 4 shoulder reconstructions, like, my shoulders have been really good for the last few years, right?
Yeah.
Actually, like, I'm really happy with. I could get very little flare ups. I can use them all the time. I can probably train my upper body 4 or 5 times a week and not have ill effects. So very happy with that. The right knee, I was like very hyper vigilant on. Like, again, still self regulating. As I started to increase the volume, the intensity and the frequency of lower body work.
Yeah.
As I moved into the open after all these work trips, I was just really thinking about my right knee, like, how's the right knee, how's it responding, how's it doing? And I was like, it's actually handling it really well. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, you still get some days which are like, you feel it more. It's a bit stiffer, it's a bit more painful, but that's just a part of. I mean, we all feel that, right? Yeah. I just feel it a bit more because I had so many operations and things done to it. But I think because of all that, I didn't think about the left knee, and I just thought, okay, left knee's experiencing a bit of pain, but it's like nothing I can't handle. I'll bounce back.
Yeah, and it's like it's not nearly as bad as we'll have the right knee.
Yeah, exactly. It will bounce back. Like, it never lets me down, type thing. And then it just got to a point where it didn't. But I would say actually, when I look back on the way that I approached the last 9 months on my right knee, I'd say I did it really well.
Yeah,
because like, it's not like I just returned to shuttle running. Like, I started with a 5-minute run, and then I progressed that slowly to like a 10-minute run. And eventually I was running, 30 minutes continuously. Just, and then I was and then I was introduced skipping after 6 months.
Right.
And I was doing like single leg plyometrics. And then I was like, okay, now I can maybe introduce. So I did it in a very progressive manner. But for whatever reason, the left knee just decided to be the one that let me down.
So I guess this is the transition of speaking away from the stem cell treatment and about the quiet knee that was forgotten.
Oh, actually, before we do that though,
yeah, sure.
I think it's really important to. I think we've already alluded slightly to like having realistic expectations if you are thinking about doing stem cells, and I wanted just to kind of put this out there, which is, okay, it is an expensive process. Now, it is expensive for me. It might not be expensive for other people. So that for me made me think about it a lot more. I had to really weigh up my options as to whether or not this is worth it. But I would say, like anything, it's not a miracle drug. You're not going to take it and just expect things to be magical the next day. My advice is always going to be, do everything you can within your power first to improve the situation that you're potentially that's leading you to potentially thinking about stem cells.
Right.
And that has to be a holistic approach. Like, you've got to think about not just your strength conditioning and your training. You got to think about your movement quality. You've got to think about your sleep, your nutrition, your hydration, your stress management, all those things which contribute to health and wellness. Maximize within your best of your ability. And we all have different levels of ability, right? And what we're willing to do and what we're not willing to do. But do the best of what you're willing to do first, and give that time, right? So explore that for a period of time. I think for most people around the world that I speak to who are thinking about stem cells, who are interested, are so far off maximizing their health and wellness by non-surgical or medical interventions already. And I think if we just put a bit more time and energy into that, we would all experience a lot less pain, a lot less inflammation, a lot less injury, and have a lot more function.
Not to toot our own horns here at the process, but that is part of our nutrition and lifestyle pyramid, where the base things, the things that you have to take care of first. That's why it's always about those simple things that we often overlook: the amount of sleep that you're getting and the quality of the sleep, your food hygiene, your stress management. And at the very top, the smallest things is like supplementation.
Yeah.
And that's what people typically do in the fitness industry, is they look at supplementation first to help make themselves sleep better, right? Where it's like, well, to what extent are you on screens before you're before bed? Or are you going to change that first?
Yeah.
Because that's free.
Yeah, for sure. And I think as well, people sometimes I feel like a bit of an imposter saying this, because I'm like, giving you sort of all this advice, and I'm so hyper vigilant with my health and wellness. But then here I'm the one who's got 2 broken knees and I've had all these issues with my health.
Well, I guess you've had the hard lessons.
But I also know that it's like, I know and have heard many stories of people who have the same diagnosis as my knee, and like they're hardly walking.
Yeah.
Like some are even like Zimmer frame and wheelchair bound, and not that much older than me.
Like a complete avoidance of that range of motion, or
yeah. Well, it's just they just don't have the function to do it. So, I do all this because I'm aware of what this condition could leave me.
Yeah.
What kind of state that could leave me in, and I just don't want that. So that's why that's part of my motivators as to why I'm so hyper vigilant with all this stuff. It's why I don't eat crap food. It's why I go to bed super early every night. It's why I meditate. It's why, fill in the blanks. So, I just want to put it out there to people is that, if you're not looking after your diet, if you're not doing those things we just talked about, and you get stem cells done, you are seriously limiting the efficacy of the stem cell treatment. So you need to, so for a lot of people, this is like the wake up call. They get stem cells, they're like, I'm going to clean up my diet, but it's got to be a lifestyle change that has to be sustainable and consistent over a really long period of time. So I just want to kind of put that out there. I say a very similar thing with surgical intervention, not all the time. Sometimes surgery is the only option, but for most people, we just haven't exhausted, haven't even got close to exhausting the things that we could be doing that don't require more money and don't require, physical manipulation to your body, and you can experience a lot more. So that's what I would always say first.
I would then, if we're on that subject, since you're often asked the question, what are questions about this subject? What is like one very common question that you get that now you can just put out?
Yeah, well, I think it's like, I'm thinking about getting stem cells. Yeah. What do you think?
Or is it worth it?
Yeah, is it worth it? And I'm just like, I can't answer that question on a message.
Yeah.
And because, I've had similar things happen to other parts of my body. I've got something called Kienbock's disease in my wrist, which, is something, when you look on the internet, it's horrible. It's doom and gloom. It's people's lives have ended because they have this bone in their wrist that is basically got avascular necrosis. So there's no more blood in there. And basically this thing is like a Jenga block. And then once it shrivels down and dies, your whole wrist collapses and you can't do anything. So I was diagnosed with that, 4 years ago. And they told me that I had to get an operation. I had to stop lifting. I couldn't do handstands anymore.
You were wearing a brace for a while.
I wore a brace, yeah. And so I created it. I've done a post, I think, on Instagram years ago when I was first in a brace, and like basically saying I'm going to document my story on Kienbock's disease.
Right.
So I still get people message me all the time about that. They just been diagnosed. They're going to get surgery. Their life's over. They love lifting. What did I do? What should they do? And I'm just like, I would love to just give you a one-word answer that tells you how to do it. But the truth is, like, you need to overhaul your whole life.
Yeah.
Like I'm making a judgment based on what I'm seeing on social media, but like, you're not looking after your diet. You're not thinking about health and wellness and optimizing the best you can.
Or are you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, well, I can just see that they're not already.
Okay.
But, I asked them the question as well. Like, what are you doing within these things? Like, and there are so many things that you can be doing. You just got to be patient. And I get it. It's so hard, right? It's hard because it's confusing. There's you go to 10 different doctors, they're going to give you 10 different diagnoses, and they're going to give you 10 different treatment plans. So it's really hard. There isn't just this one answer for all of us. A lot of it comes down to like what you're willing to do, your mindset. Like, are you willing to believe that this thing can actually heal? Or are you doing this because someone told you have to do it? Like, I just have the belief that I can fix anything in my body. And I genuinely believe that. I've done it with my knee before. I've done it with my wrist. So it's like, I'm looking at his left knee now and I'm like, I'm gonna fix it somehow. So my answer to that question is like, is it worth it? It's like, it was worth it to me because I'd exhausted all other options. And, I gave 110% to the process of healing and regenerating it. And I will continue to give 110%, probably till the day that I die.
Nice.
So for me, totally worth it. Is it worth it for you? I can't say. And that's why I think doing podcasts like this, to kind of just share the story and put context behind it is really important, because, even that first stem cell episode with so many people that still ask me about it. I can just send them that now. Be like, listen to my story first and kind of why I had it done. Yeah. And come back to me with your thoughts and questions, and always happy to help and, give you, lend you my thoughts and give you an ear. I'm always willing to do that to anyone. But yeah.
So now that we've heard about kind of how your knee is doing with this MCell, and also your intentions and the habits that you formed in order to maximize that healing process and take ownership over that process, your left knee is now kind of in that same position where now you have to take control of what you can, should, however you want to define that, the process of healing your left knee right now. And it sounds like you're not going to go straight for a stem cell treatment at the moment. No. You're going to do everything within your power to help along the healing journey. Now, one thing that is recent is, at the time of this recording, we are just a week away from quarterfinals, and you qualified for quarterfinals, and you decided not to partake in it. Can you tell me a little bit about, why you decided not to do it, having decided to do it, the open, still being in the healing process? What's different this time around, and what defined that decision for you?
Yeah. So I think again, context of the story as to how I arrived at that decision is that, so we've already talked about when my left knee started hurting, right? So basically leading into the CrossFit Open, I think I was about 3 weeks out, and I was like, okay, this knee is not getting better despite me giving it the left knee. Right knee's good. Yeah. Right knee is basically saying, Ed, we are fucking ready to take on the Open. Let's do it. My left knee's like, nah. So, 3 weeks before the Open, I basically unloaded my left knee. Didn't do any Olympic lifting, didn't do any jumping, didn't do any heavy squatting, all the movements that were hurting. I was like, I'm going to give it 3 weeks a chance to just really try and heal. And I'm going to cross my fingers that, one day before 24.1 rolls around, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then 3 days before 24.1, I did like a little MOT, which is what we would do to a car. Like you give it a little road check, right? Okay. Can I squat? Can I jump? And I took myself through a little test, and I was like, it's not really better. It's almost exactly the same. Yeah. And then I've been scratching my head and working with, Cami, my wife, Eleanor, the physio at Body Shadow, trying to figure out what am I missing? Is there something I should be doing? Yeah. Anyway, so it wasn't any better. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to see what the workout is.
Yeah.
So the workout came out, it was dumbbell snatches and burpees. I was like, okay, the burpee hurts, but I think I can get through it. And at this point, I was basically speaking to lots of people, should I take anti-inflammatories? Yeah. I really am very against taking anti-inflammatories because, I used to take them a lot as a rugby player. And then when I came into CrossFit, I feel like I had a mild addiction to them. I didn't know the ramifications of what anti-inflammatories did over the long term. And so basically when I first started CrossFit, tight as hell, can't overhead squat, shoulders are tight, knees are tight, hips are tight. I was basically popping anti-inflammatories multiple times every week. And I did that for 2 years.
It essentially numbed you, yeah?
Basically just numbed me, yeah. And so in that process, re-tore my ACL without even knowing it. And basically then that's basically what really messed up my right knee was that 2 year period of CrossFit. When I was playing rugby with this knee was not that bad at all. It was almost a fully functioning knee. So I basically have a bit of trauma from taking anti-inflammatories. Yeah. And so I was like, I just don't want to go down that route again. It's more of I'd set this moral principle to myself that it's your body's giving you signs, listen to those signs, be smart, don't be stupid. So then I was like, okay, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the smallest possible dose of anti-inflammatories. And if it's still hurting, then I'm just not going to do the workout. Yeah. So one day before the workout, I took one anti-inflammatory at night. Okay. And then I woke up the next day, warmed up, and I was like, because I hadn't taken anti-inflammatories in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So I genuinely thought that my knee had just healed. I came in, I was like, I feel unbelievable. I'm like, oh my, I was literally like, thank you, Lord, for healing my knee the day before 24.1. I'm better now. So did the workout.
Both did nothing.
Yeah, did the workout. I could feel in there a tiny bit, but generally it felt pretty good.
Yeah.
Obviously, this was the first hit of intensity I've done in 3 weeks. I've been deloading hard. So that messed me up. But did that, and I was like, okay, so my rule is as soon as the workout's done, no more anti-inflammatories. Yeah. So came off the next day. Yep. Went to the gym the next day, and I was like, okay, I want to see if did some squats, and I was like, whoa, those squats actually felt pretty good. Didn't
Okay.
really hurt that much. So I'm like, maybe my knee genuinely did heal. Rested Sunday, came in on Monday,
Okay.
was like, oh shit, no. Okay, knee is exactly the same.
Yeah.
But I hadn't done more damage.
Okay.
So then I was like, okay.
At that point, you're like, nah, I didn't heal.
Yeah, no, then I was like,
Okay.
no, anti-inflammatories had now worn off. So I'd realized there was like a 48-hour lag window where it was like, you feel fucking good for 48 hours.
Yeah.
And then once it wears off,
And
like
God taketh away.
you're right back to where you were. So I hadn't healed. Anyway, repeat, same cycle for week 2.
Yeah.
Very lucky with no movement. You know, there was skipping, jumping, but I was able to just jump on my toes a bit more rather than bending my knee. So I got away with that. Yeah, I just got lucky. I just adapted. And then the last workout, then I got really sick. I was super sick after 24.2 with like some respiratory cold thing.
Right.
So that wiped me. So then pushed the workout back as far as I possibly could.
Yeah.
Took the anti-inflammatory the night before. Again, these Voltaren, oh my God. I just want to say Voltaren is unbelievable. Voltaren, you probably call it.
I've never heard of it.
Really?
I don't think we have it in the United States. So I actually literally just like 2 minutes ago. I
no
called it
wonder I was
Voltaren.
addicted to it when I was
But
younger.
it's like a medical grade.
Yeah,
like,
it's a NSAID, so non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. But like genuinely just felt incredible. Anyway, so did the last workout, got through it.
you did.
And so came off the anti-inflammatories and I was like, okay, I'm not that proud of myself for taking anti-inflammatories to get through the open.
Yeah.
Also was sick. Also didn't prepare for the open. There's lots of like things that honestly, if I was my client, I would have said, mate, sit this one out.
Yeah.
But there's again, this like thing in the back of my head was like, this is going to be year 11 for you. You know, like I don't want to hurt my track record. I love seeing all the consecutive years.
And you want to show up for your community.
So I want to show it for my community. It's something I'm really proud of. It's something I love doing. But deep down, I was like, this just isn't me anymore. Like I'm not a professional athlete anymore. I'm not willing. There's no need for me to be taking these risks anymore and potentially doing myself further damage.
Yeah.
I've had, great last few years of being pretty much injury free.
Yep.
Don't ruin that now.
Okay.
So I did it. Wasn't very proud of it, but did the open. Happy, had a great time in the community. No regrets, actually. So then I said, okay, quarterfinals. I'm going to now give myself, I think I gave myself 2 weeks completely off my knee. So no squatting movements whatsoever, no Olympic lifting, no jumping. So I'm going to give myself 2 full weeks to try and recover. Then by week 3, I'm going to see if I can do the things that I need to be able to do for quarterfinals. So that's jump. I need to be able to squat pain-free, jump onto a box.
Yep.
And if I can do those 2 things, I can pretty much do everything else.
Yeah.
So I came in after 2.5 weeks, came for test, did some back squats and empty bar, built to about like 100 and felt not bad. I could feel it tiny, but it wasn't bad. Then I just tried to jump. No, I think that's right. Empty bar back squats. Then I just tried to jump and I felt it like that sharp pain exactly the same. And I was like, nah, okay, I'm not doing anti-inflammatories again. Like I did it and I got through. I'm lucky that I got unscathed. I came through unscathed. It didn't get worse, but I'm just not going to do that again. Yeah. So yeah, by that point, the goal of the season was like do the open with the community. As much as I'd love to do the quarterfinals, I was also just not healthy. Like I was like 5 weeks, still got this little cough, still not feeling great, knees hurting. And I'm like, I'm not in a place in life anymore. I'm 36 years old. Got loads of other priorities as well. I love CrossFit, I love training, I love competition, but those things aren't the number one priority anymore. And I'm just not willing. I'm not willing to feel like I don't have energy. Not willing to feel like I'm in pain. I don't want to not be able to use my body and play golf and play tennis and go for a run and mess around with a gang downstairs when we're jumping over boxes and doing stupid shit. Those things are really important to me. And I basically just drew a line and was like, I'm not willing to do this anymore. I want to feel good again and feel healthy. So by that point, as soon as I'd done that session, I went home, obviously spoke to my wife about it, and we talked about it. And I said, I think the smart thing, as much as I want to take part in the quarterfinals, because last year, we just had the best time, and 25% is going to be great with so many people doing it. I just think it's the best thing for my long-term health to not do it. And as soon as I did it, I was actually totally at peace.
And did you also start feeling better too?
Yeah, immediately. I think I just had this low, it was funny, I have my right hand, which is totally fine right now, but when I get stressed, I get a mild eczema on a couple of my fingers, and the whole time through the open, this eczema had come back. It's the only place in my body I get it. But I knew every time I see that, I'm like, okay, my body is telling me something.
Like, yo,
it's like this, that's
slow
like,
down.
yeah, it gives me little signs. And then when the eczema comes in a hand, it's like, okay, Ed, you're not listening to us.
Yeah.
And it was almost like the day after I said, all right, I'm not going to do the quarterfinals, my eczema disappeared. Completely disappeared. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Like I think about this stuff all the time, right? And it was like clearly that lagging knee thing was like creating a lot more stress and anxiety than I had thought.
Yeah.
Because it was just constant thinking back, like, is my knee okay? Am I going to be okay? Can I do it? Should I not do it? And I think it's those constant questioning, as well as being a bit sick and still being run down from the year.
Yeah.
It was crazy. The next day I just came in, I was like, I feel 20% better.
So, I mean, that's awesome that now that the stress is gone and you're actually seeing the signs of the healing process and the benefits of it. Is there still like a little part of you saying, oh, I'm actually doing better. Maybe I can do this.
No.
That's done.
No, I thought that might happen, right? Yeah. In accepting it. Because there's been a couple of days where I've been like, coming in, I'm like, I'm actually feeling pretty good. I haven't tested my knee, but I come and feel pretty good. And I'm like, would I then go against my word and do the open, do the quarterfinals?
Okay.
But to be honest, like even today, just testing my knee, like, nah, it's still the same. Okay. It's still nowhere near ready to do it.
Got it.
But the thought has stuck into my head because there is nothing I want to do more honestly
100%.
than like throw down with the community.
So is there a part of you that's even though you drew a line and you're not crossing it, and you should be proud of yourself for, not going against your word, not going against your standard in that sense. And that's awesome, right? Yeah. Is there still a part of you that's bummed at all, or, not feeling great about not doing quarterfinals?
I think it's like, it's that classic cycle of acceptance, right? It's when the knee injury is starting, there is a lot of like, it's denial to start. And like you're telling yourself, nah, it's not bad. It's all good. It's going to heal in a week. Just need a few days. Right. Just need a bit of this, a bit of that, and it'll be all good. And then there is like the annoying, like the anger and the frustration. That it's like,
you're going through the entire cycle.
Yeah, it's like, why me? Like, I'm so meticulous with all this stuff. Yeah. Like how I'm looking at the rest of my members who don't, and I no dig on them, and even my team, right? Who I'm like, these guys don't look after themselves half as much as I do.
Yeah, like
and these guys are all jumping in and doing everything that I can't do. I'm like, so then there's a frustration and disappointment side of it, and then at some point you arrive at acceptance, which is like, okay, accept the reality. Yeah, this is what it is. This has happened. Like now, you should probably think about figuring out why it's happened so you don't make the same mistake again. You can learn from it. Yeah. And what are you going to do about it? Yeah. How can we actually get this thing to be better? And that cycle, I think for me, because I've had many setbacks, physical setbacks with injuries, but also just, it's a part of the process of choosing to do hard things in life, is that you are confronted with difficulty in these and this cycle of acceptance more often. So I think now I'm just able to move through that cycle a lot faster now. Okay. So before, that could be drawn out over months. Yeah. This time was like more like a couple of weeks. Okay. I got to a point where it's like, nah, you know what? Fully accepted it.
You're like more than
not bummed. Right, and there's also there. I think there's an element of like, self-forgiveness, because I was quite hard on myself as well. It's like, how have you let this happen? Like, mate, I preach more than anyone. About looking after yourself and eyes in a long game and self-regulating. Yeah. And I'm almost feeling a bit ashamed, to be honest, that I'm like, I haven't done that. Even though I thought I was doing it, but then you look back, and I know hindsight is 2020, but you look back and you're like, nah, there was enough signs there. Like, come on, in June last year, I was asking the doctor to stab stem cells into my left knee. Yeah. Like, clearly there was something that was already bad happening there.
Yeah, but you know what? As much as you give yourself grief for that, I mean, it is a really nice example for all of us to know that, like, you are not perfect. None of us are. And the part that separates us in that sense is, are you going to learn from this? And are you going to be a good example of how to bounce back from whatever decisions that you made?
Yeah.
And trusting those triggers. That
yeah, but it is tough though, right? Because I was feeling all those things, and then again, you should have just reminded myself, what would I say to someone else if they came to me and shared how they're feeling right now? Yeah. And it's very easy to say to people, oh, just don't be so hard on yourself. Like you're always really good. You should be very proud of the things you've done. And like, we all make mistakes. But at the end of the day, like I have to accept that. And I do realize that it's like, I'm so much better at doing this than I used to be.
Yeah.
When I really look back, with all the things I've done to my body over the years, when I look back at the last 5, it's been pretty damn good. I've also been able to do 11 CrossFit Opens in a row.
Yeah.
There's not many people who've been able to do that,
Right.
and been healthy enough to do that, and forget the fact that I've had, 8 reconstructive surgeries on my body, like pretty big ones.
Yeah.
So, you sometimes got to zoom out and look at the context, and it's like, actually, no, I should be really proud of myself. Like this is actually, it's nothing too major. It's something small, I hope, right?
Yeah.
That I'm going to get to the bottom of. So yeah, we are all human and we all do make mistakes. And again, this is more evidence that I've now collected that the future me is going to take with him to be like, okay, you thought you were good at self-regulating, buddy, but you can do better.
Yeah. On that note, I was thinking about those words of encouragement and everything. Cause I am personally bummed that you're not gonna be doing quarterfinals because last year was a great time. And this year will be a great time as well. And you being able to do it 100% at the coach's helm will be awesome to see. Cause then you'll be able to help game plan with us. You'll be able to help us sort out our own personal strengths and weaknesses and figure this out every single workout at a time. I do want to end with one thing is, I assume that maybe you're still a little bummed about not doing quarterfinals. So, whether or not I did this thing before the episode where I reached out to people in your life, told them that I was going to interview about this and that we'd probably talk about you not doing quarterfinals and to send some words of encouragement. I have it here and I'm going to read them off word for word. The game here is I want you to see if you can guess who it is.
Let's do it.
Cool.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you, Chris.
Hey. First person, Ed. I'm not going to try to speak like them, by the way.
I was like, who starts with Ed?
Here we go. Ed, keep fighting, you old man. You're an inspiration to so many of us. I can't wait to see you back on the leaderboard. I'm going to say that all these people are quite close in your life in one way or another. Do you need a hint, by the way?
Old man Skulk.
No.
Old man Karan.
Nope.
Oh, those two call me old man a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Apparently a lot of people do.
Oh, no. That's going to be a recurring theme.
All right, let me give you a hint, all right? It is one of your former coaches.
Patrick.
No, like your own coach.
Oh, Kyle Ruth.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Kyle Ruth of
legend.
Training Think Tank.
Okay, well, that's one old man to another. Thank you, Kyle. Love you, buddy.
Yeah, and good luck to quarterfinals. You're going to crush it.
Yeah, I hope Kyle deserves to make it to the games.
Yeah.
He's been so close 2 years in
and
a
he's
row.
just also a really cool dude.
Yeah, he deserves it.
Next person. He says that he wouldn't be surprised. He would be surprised if you didn't guess him. So let's see. Ed, this is your knees talking. We've been shouting at you for the past 10 CrossFit seasons to hang it up and take up chest instead. Thank you for finally listening to us. Best regards, your knees, Pat Tella and Carl Tellage.
That's really good. I don't think do I have any friends that are that witty?
Oh my God. He's going to be so insulted by that. Keep going.
A part of me feels like that's something you would come up with.
No. But thank you for that.
Oh, that's really good. Andy Bratz.
100%.
Yeah.
Nice. Good job, Bratz.
That is quite Bratzy.
Nice.
That's very good. He's not that funny in real life.
1 for 2. Yeah, give him like 5 minutes on Instagram.
Good. I need to give him a bit of a backhanded compliment as well. Just knock him down a couple of pegs. So well done, Bratz. That was great.
Next one. I personally think you'll get this one. Another small obstacle in your journey to deal with. I've been nothing but amazed with your resilience, it's relative, to deal with these situations that present themselves to you. Although I make fun of your patheticness on a daily basis, your commitment to being better every day is truly inspiring. I have no doubt you'll overcome this new obstacle in your way and come out stronger. But let's be honest, probably weaker.
Karan.
No.
Ant.
Yes.
Yeah. I knew it was
Why did you think it was Quran first?
because he said two words that we all use with Quran is pathetic
Uh-huh.
and veek. And both pathetic and veek were used in that. But I also know that Ant also loves pathetic and weak. And he loves calling me weak.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Ant.
Oh gosh. All right.
I know with Ant as well, it can never be a fully blown compliment.
Yeah.
Like there's always going to be, he's going to knock you down 3 pegs,
Yeah.
and then lift you up 2. So you still finish net down.
But you feel like a winner.
You feel there's like parts of it you feel kind of good, but then you reflect at the end. You're like, I'm still down.
It's like, wait, he roasted me actually.
Yeah, actually, that wasn't a roasting. That wasn't a compliment. Thank you, Am.
I told them to be themselves with this, right?
Yeah.
Here's the next one. Dear Edward, watching you navigate the challenges of life throws at you is a constant source of inspiration. Continue being you, and you are guaranteed to grow from this experience and any other that the future holds for you.
That's very formal. Part of me wants to say Tammy. Because it says Edward.
Yeah. But it's not.
Also, my wife calls me Edward a lot. Was it Cammy?
It is.
Nice. I'm doing pretty well with these.
Yeah, not bad. And it was so sweet.
That was very sweet.
It was very, very sweet. I was like, man, I'm getting
Quite
some good
formal.
answers. Yeah, it is pretty formal.
Does that sounds like a letter to the government? But
Best, your wife.
yeah.
All right, there's one more.
Okay.
You ready for this
hit
one?
Me.
All right. Ed's determination. This person did not address you in the you
Laughing.
form.
Okay.
Ed's determination to achieve his goal is always admirable, although he often sets the bar very high, making it not easy to achieve. To settle as second best is not in his dictionary. Over the years, he has matured a great deal and be able to assess a situation and makes a sensible decision. To shorten the CF season is one of those. There's always next year. Good job, Ed. We are always here for you. That's the last one.
That's hard. There was nothing that stood out there as like. Would you say reading that like it was obvious who that person was?
I mean, only because I know.
So you think? Can you read it one more time?
Yeah. Also, I'll give you a hint. Well, I don't know. I gave you a hint.
No, don't give me a hint.
Ed's determination to achieve his goal is always admirable, although he often sets the bar very high in making it not easy to achieve. To settle as second best is not in his dictionary. Over the years, he has matured a great deal and be able to access a situation and makes a sensible decision. To shorten the CF season is one of those. There's always next year. Good job, Ed. We are always here for you.
Oh. Okay, is it someone in our team?
No.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. It's not someone in our team. Is it a member?
I don't know if she's a member.
Oh shoot!
Oh shoot!
Oh. Okay.
Goddamn.
You don't. So not a member of the team. Not a member of the team. You're not sure if she's a member.
Yeah.
You're not sure if she's a member. You're really not sure.
I'm also going to tell you that with every second that you don't get this, the disappointment from this person will only grow.
Yeah. No. Well, come on. They didn't like use nicknames or anything. It was a very nice message.
It was a very
sweet.
nice message.
Okay, obviously we have to probably shorten this part of the episode a bit, but that's okay. I feel like there's like little things here. The last line, good luck, Ed. We're always here. We're always here for you.
Yeah.
There's something about that.
What is he doing?
There's something about that.
What is the something?
I don't know. There's a few people that are jumping to mind in that, but then they're not a team member, and they're not a member.
Okay. Do you want any?
Yeah, I want to guess.
Do you want me to give you a hint?
I want you to give me a hint. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, do you want me to give you a hint or not?
Yeah, give me a hint.
It is. I think by default you've known this person longer than maybe most people.
It's my mum.
It is your mom.
I knew it.
Lillian Haynes.
I knew it was my mum because of just like the formality of it. When my mum speaks, she's not like formal, but when my mum writes,
Yeah.
she's very formal.
Yeah. She was also super excited. She was like, "Is it too late?" Because she emailed me like maybe like.
Oh, that's
10
very
minutes before
sweet,
the
mum.
podcast.
That's very nice of her. I had a feeling it was, I had a feeling it was one of two people.
Yeah.
It was either going to be my mum or it was going to be my client, Steph Lee,
Oh, okay.
who like, they're similar age. I don't know. They both speak in like similar-ish ways. It was a signing off. Like,
How many
the
times
good
have you
luck-
called Stephanie Lee your mom? Like, hey,
Never.
mom.
I've never done that. I've never called mum Steph as well.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris. That's that's very sweet of you. I really appreciate it. That's one of your good qualities. One of your great qualities is you are always down to go the extra mile to show love to people. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
No worries. I'm super like appreciative of having this conversation and talk with you. And quarterfinals will be exciting. It'll be a bit of a bummer knowing that you won't be sharing the floor with us, and I won't be able to like tear you down with my words.
But you know what? Now what I can do, I can tear you down.
I know
My
that's
words.
all
I
you'll
have
be doing.
Nothing else to focus on other than.
That's a bit of a long rest there, Chris. With what you doing there?
I wouldn't do that.
Tick, tick,
I
tock.
wouldn't do what Chris did to me mid 24.3, and as I surpass his rep, go, damn it, you just beat my score. Rep 5.
Wow, we are going over time. We're gonna have to
Okay,
cut
we're
this
going to
short.
cut that there. No, what I want to say is that I am very much looking forward to the new hat that I'm going to wear at quarterfinals, be a supporting role for everyone else.
Yep.
Can't wait to see you guys throw down.
Yes, sir.
Can't wait to coach and support the community both in Hong Kong and afar. Yeah, I'm still super fired up for the quarterfinals in a very different way.
All right.
Thank you, sir. I loved you interviewing me. That was really fun. You're a legend.
Thank you. I am.